Part 72. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 716. A moment later, the black streamer flew not far above the head of Wei Suo and others. This black escape light is a black canoe-shaped implement, on which stood a total of 4 monks. Wei Suo's eyesight is much higher than that of ordinary monks. When the 4 monks did not see him clearly, he had carefully looked at the 4 monks. I saw that the 4 monks were 3 men and 1 woman, an old man, a middle-aged man and a pair of young men and women. The old man's face was narrow and long, with a ray of goatee, and a cyan leather robe with more than 20 bright yellow oval gems embedded in it looked very strange. The middle-aged man's facial features are very upright, but his eyes are full of evil spirits, and he looks very fierce. He is wearing a crimson robe, and the left and right chests have 2 3-legged toads. Among a pair of young men and women, the man is wearing a purple robe, wearing a white crown, and the complexion is pure white, while the woman is wearing an emerald green vest, holding a long silver flute. There is a plum-shaped yellow flower in his eyebrows, a golden step on his head, a round face, and his face is very beautiful. At the moment, the expressions on the faces of the 4 monks were all a little uncertain. When they flew closer by hundreds of feet, the 4 monks also saw Wei Suo and Li Freehand etc. "Who are you?" The 4 monks were very cautious in their work. Seeing the group of monks with the surnamed Lu from Baikangkang gathered behind Wei Suo and Li Freehand, it seemed that Wei Suo and Li Freehand seemed extraordinary. However, the 4 monks did not immediately find it difficult. After glancing at each other, the old man with a long beard and a narrow beard under his face asked first. "We are not a person, we are rabbits." Wei Suo has not answered, and has been stupid, but Li Yi, who was still memorizing the scriptures before, just answered such a sentence directly. "Rabbit," Li Freehand this sentence, let alone the 4 monks of Long Qianzong, even the group of monks behind Wei Suo was stunned. "What do you mean?" Li's Freehand face is very old, and his appearance is completely different from before, and the aura of his body is now absorbed by Wei Suo, so these 4 monks can't see his identity at all. After stunned, the only woman among the 4 monks frowned and looked at Li Yi. "It's not interesting, are you rabbits?" Li asked freehandly, looking at the woman in earnest. It seems that because there are many female nuns around Wei Suo before, and Han Weiwei and Ji Yat are very beautiful, so he seems to have a good impression on the beautiful nuns, thinking that the beautiful nuns may be rabbits. You are the rabbit," the female concubine of Long Qianzong thought Li Freehand was intentionally cursing others, and suddenly cried out. "Yes, I'm a rabbit." Li Freehand looked at the female inexplicably. "You, Sister," Xiu flushed with rage. "Sister, don't be angry, this person seems to be a fool," the young man dressed in a purple robe next to the woman reminded her. "You're a fool, I'm a rabbit." Li Freehand pointed ears, heard it, staring at the young man Xiu angry. "Even if you are a rabbit, you might become a dead man later," the young male snorted coldly, looking at Wei Suo who had not spoken. "What the are you? The prohibition on them was imposed by you. Did you tell them to collect thousands of gold diamonds or before letting them go?" Wei Suo didn't answer the young man's words, but asked rhetorically. "Why, listening to what you mean, are you trying to help them out?" The young male student's eyes narrowed slightly. "Don't be reckless." The oldest of the 4 monks was the most cautious, snorted at the young man, and then clenched his fists at Wei Suo, saying, in the Long Qianzong elder Zhongruolai, "I don't know which lord you are." Monk at the door. "I don't want to say anything nonsense. By your actions, even if I kill you all, you have nothing to complain about. You leave all the treasures and magical tools on your body, and I can give you a way of life, let you leave." Wei Suo still said coldly without answering the elder Long Qianzong named Zhongruolai. "It's a big tone." This time it was the first time the young female cultivator couldn't help but yelled, with such a big tone, "Do you think you are the domineering real person, Wei Suo?" "I'm doing." The old man in green robe couldn't help but whisper in Wei Suo's ears. He never thought that this young woman would actually say such a word. Wei Suo was also slightly stunned, and then he glanced at the woman indifferently. Why, if I were Wei Suo, you would obediently obey, if I were not, wouldn't you listen? That's of course. The young woman Jiu looked at Wei Suo with disdain. You want us to leave all the treasures and magical tools on our body, then at least we must take out the magical powers that make us obedient. Then if I tell you, I'm Wei Suo looked at the female sister and said lightly. If you were Wei Suo, then I would be Shui Ling. The young female Xiu seemed to hear a joke, and she sneered with a scornful smile. It's so cheap. The old man in green robe couldn't help but yelled, Ziazi, Shui Ling is your mate. She dared to claim to be your mate, that is, she will give it to you, or you will take her. Do it, just show me. Well, I tell you, I'm just an ordinary casual repairer, and I don't have any identity. But I just want to start out for them. Wei Suo ignored the old man in green robe and looked at the young female repairer, saying, then what are you going to do now? It's just an ordinary casual repairer, with such a big breath, that made us risk the night and rushed out of the wilderness outside the Sky Dome, naturally killing you and letting them continue to help us collect fine gold. Nu Xiu sneered, turning his head. He said to Zhang Ruo next to him, Elder Zhang, I don't think this person looks like a monk, but it is indeed just a casual repair. It's such a big tone, I have to rely on it. Don't be reckless. Zhang Ruo's calculations, after saying this, looked at Wei Suo and said aloud, this Taoist, I think you are extraordinary. Why don't we feel excited? Oh friends, why do you hurt the peace for these low-level casual repairs? We have just said that, leaving your treasure chest and magic weapon, I will give you a way of life. Wei Suo said no nonsense, said quietly. Too arrogant. Elder Zhang, don't talk nonsense with this person. Can't we kill him with so many of us? The young female Xiu looked at Wei Suo and sneered again and again. For your own sake, I will give you another chance. I will tell you again that I am Weizhuo. Weizhuo gave this young woman a glance and said. Then you die. The young woman sneered fiercely, reaching out a little, and a cyan disc-shaped brilliance blasted towards Wei Suo. At the same time, Zhang Ruolai and 3 other monks, Long Qianzong, were shining in front of them, and offered their magic weapons. I've given you a chance. You don't want it yourself. Wei Suo stood at the spot, just reached out a little, cracked, a dark golden sword gas directly smashed the blue disc-shaped brilliance, in the young nun. In the instantaneous solidification of the eyes, it directly hit the young female Xiu, directly cut the young female Xiu into 2 sections, and instantly spiked. Ziazi, you are too humane, the old man in green robe exclaimed, extremely depressed. This is a female nun. If you want to kill, you must at least first and then kill. Let me see. What? At the same time, Zhang Ruolai waited for 3 other monks, Long Qianzong, to see that the young nun was killed without any resistance, and suddenly screamed. You, a middle-aged monk dressed in a crimson veil, screamed with a red light in his hands and struck Wei Suo. Oh, but in the explosion, there was another huge dark golden sword light, which directly smashed the red light of this middle-aged monk, and then beheaded without any stop at this middle-aged monk. Body. The crimson aura from the monk's vest just flashed, and it was cut directly like a layer of paper, and the body was cut directly into 2 pieces. Boom. At the same time, a group of golden brilliances emerged from Wei Suo's body, with a momentum like a giant mountain crushing. From the front of Wei Suo, Zhang Ruolai and another young man, the grey brilliance and the green brilliance of the monk shattered. This golden 2-color brilliance is Wei Suo's door flying sword. Because the material and magic circle of this flying sword are conducive to Wei Suo's formation of the golden spirit root, he always uses it. Your sister, Fijian. You are so domineering and real, Weizhuo. Oh my god, he really killed the domineering real person Wei Suo of Lin Taixu and Suan Fengmen Antique. Upon seeing Wei Suo offering the flying sword on the door, Zhang Ruolai and the remaining young monk were all in shock, and exclaimed in disbelief. Snapped. But their exclamation just came out, the door blade flying sword had been pressed against them, just a light tap, the bones of the two monks were all broken, directly like a fly, they were shot from the air when it came down, it was instantly killed. One face to face was killed. The four monks who divided their minds into 4 levels and 5 levels had no power to fight back. He actually killed the old antiques of Lin Taixu and Suan Fengmen. When I heard Zhang Ruolai and the other young monk exclaiming before he died, the monks behind Wei Suo were also shocked and abnormal, and almost stopped breathing. It seems that the news that Lin Taixu and others have been killed has been completely circulated, but these people just heard the news and do not know the specific situation, otherwise they know that Li Freehand is crazy and I was rescued before. I am afraid to see it. We wouldn't have reacted like this. Wei Suo didn't stop, swept his consciousness, reached out, and grabbed all the treasures from the bodies of these 4 monks. What is this? Long Qianzong is not a big section. The 4 monks and the old-fashioned characters who he killed earlier do not know how many times they are away. Weiss did not expect anything from them. 3 of them. What was in the Nebeos capsule was indeed plain, but a thing in the other Nebeos capsule surprised him and instantly attracted his attention. This is a 3-inch long amber antique, thin, and there is no difference between the appearance and the incense in the ordinary incense burner, but the first impression of this ancient incense is extremely long, and the above there is an extremely strong mysterious atmosphere, and even Wei Suo looked at this Xiao piece of ancient incense, and even had a very small feeling compared with this piece of ancient incense. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 717. Wei Suo obtained an astonishing amount of Nebeo from Donghuangzong, from the monks and old antiques killed by him. These Nebeos were packed in an ordinary black iron box by him. They were originally placed on the backs of phoenix scales and green eagles. Now that phoenix scales and green eagles have been put into slave bags by him, now the black iron box was carried in Li Freehand's hands. This black iron box is just an ordinary thing, but the thickness of black iron can block the general monk's insight, so it seems that it is not a magic weapon, so Li Freehand carrying this box is very funny in the eyes of the 4 monks. Even if Wei Suo said he was a domineering real person, these 4 monks did not believe it. And Wei Suo got so many Nebeo, although there are also many spirits, materials, and other objects for unknown purposes. But apart from the fragment of the big roof and the huge arm of the mysterious young Nebo bracelet that had been inherited by the 3 emperors, there was no such weird thing at all. Why is this breath so terrifying? It doesn't seem to be a piece of incense, it's like a mountain. This kind of breath is not like the breath of Shenxian Mighty. The old man in green robe was completely shocked by this piece of antique. This piece of ancient incense does not see any runes. It seems to be formed by the powder of a certain spice, and it has a broken trace at one end. It seems that it is not a complete piece. The whole body of Guxiang is amber, and it is very heavy to start with. There is a faint fragrance, the color on the surface seems to have accumulated countless years, and it feels extremely long. Wei Suo now holds the Xiao piece of antique fragrance, which is the same feeling as the old man in green robe, as if facing a majestic mountain, he feels a little Xiao. Not the breath of divine profound power, could it be the magical power tool of true fairyland? Hearing the old man in green robe, the thought that immediately appeared in his mind made him tremble. There seems to be text. The moonlight shone on this piece of antiques, and Wei Suo was shocked to see that there was a flash of light on this piece of amber antique, but these light words were too small, so that Wei Suo could not see clearly. What a weird thing, unheard of, old man in green robe couldn't help shouting again. I knew I would waste some of my energy and catch them first. Wei Suo intuitively felt that this thing was quite different, but he couldn't see the subtlety of it at all, and the breath of this thing was so amazing that he didn't dare to recognize it at all and couldn't help feeling annoyed. He thought in his heart that if he could capture the opponent again, he would have to capture it first. Even if there is nothing special in his body, he can also ask if there is any news of Daigo Shenkuo. By the way, Uncle Chen, Do you know anything about Daigo Shenkuo? Because I remembered this, so while annoyingly, I put away this quirky antique, and Wei Suo also turned his head and looked at Chen. The surname monk and others ask such a sentence. Although I learned from Han Yuer's mouth that Yunling continent may have zone men's hands with Daigo Shenkuo, the specific sect is not known at all, and even if there was a certain Zongmen before, no one knows now. Is there any way? Daiji Shenkuo? I only know that it is a kind of eccentric fruit that has an effect on the Xian monk. How and where is it, but I don't know. The monk Chen surnamed shook his head. The rest of the monks shook their heads one after another, and they were unaware of this rare and extremely ancient holy fruit. Can you do me a favor? After shaking his head helplessly, Wei Suo, who still had no useful information, looked at the surname Chen and other people and said, help me rush to the south of Tianxian continent, find a few monks and tell them some messages. If there are no seniors, even if we help them collect so much fine gold, they may not let us go. Our lives are equivalent to being saved by seniors. It is just such a small thing, we should do our best to do it by Kang. The monk Lu and others all nodded and said. I know that if you reveal Xingzhang, it's very dangerous and you can't go to the messenger in person. Rest assured, this matter urges us to do it. If this message is important, we can divide it into 3 or 4 batches, and there should be at least one the monks. You can pass the message to the hands of the monks you want to notify. The monk named Chen looked at Wei Suo and nodded. Then this matter will bother Chen Shu and Lu Daiyu. Wei Suo paid a salute to the surname Chen and others, his hand moved, the glory flashed, but he took out a lot of magic weapons, magic tools, and ordered the surname Chen and others in front of you. This. The monk Chen surnamed and others stayed almost at the same time, because the spiritual pressure that Wei Suo ordered on the magic weapons and magical instruments in front of them was extremely shocking, and they made them feel terrified. Now the environment between the northern and central parts of the Tianxian continent is very harsh, and it is very far away from the Sky Dome. You can take these magic weapons and it will be safer. Wei Suo reached out and ordered 4 of them to breathe terror. Dan Zhu's point to the monk Chen surname, these 4 are extinct Jindan. With these 4 things, plus these magic weapons I gave you, as long as they don't encounter Jindan triple or above monks, there should be no problems. It turned out that Wei Suo was now using several magic weapons above the Dao level, including the magic weapon from the Eastern Aboriginal sect, a very mysterious spatial attack magic weapon, and the Jin Dan Lian who used Bai Yu Live, Xuanhuan Live, Bai Ji Unkong and Jin Yao Live. The 4 extinct Jindan made, all Ao gave to the surname Chen. Now Wei Suo has 2 exquisite magic tools of the extinct sharp weapon and the evil king's nether box on his hand, and there are magic weapons such as Zhentian Faxiang, and there are 8 Jindans in his hand. Quickly turn it into an extinct Jindan. And this monk with surname Chen has a deep relationship with his parents, just like his relatives and elders. Wei Suo naturally wants to ensure his safety as much as possible. And then Wei Suo is going to let the monks of the surname Chen also go to the Yunling continent, so if the extinct Jindan is not used, it will be like taking the 4 extinct Jindan directly to Ji Ya and others. You can rest assured. I have been hiding outside the Sky Dome for many years. I am very experienced in the habits and traces of many monsters and beasts. Take them directly in the wilderness close to the ground. Without accident, there should be no great danger. The monk with the surname Chen knew that Wei Suo's current magical powers could not be imagined, so he did not postpone. He collected the extinct Jindan and divided all the magic weapons given by Wei Suo. Uncle Chen, this is their contact information and the message I want to tell them. After you have read it, destroy it. This monk named Chen would rather die than reveal that it was the death of the Tianjian section. The news from his parents was that he was afraid that he would go to seek revenge. There was no accident. His concern for Wei Suo was even greater than his own. Therefore, Wei Suo was completely at ease with him. He took out 2 pieces of memoirs and wrote down the matter. Passed it to a monk named Chen. Monk Chen surnamed nodded his head, and after a while, he completely destroyed the 2 notes. Uncle Chen, when you send messages to them, you will all follow them to Yunling mainland, and I will come to meet you after seeing the method of contacting Feng Xiao and others with the surname Chen. Then, Wei Suo went on to hear Chen's ear. The monk Chen knew that Wei Sao must be useful, but just nodded, took a deep breath, looked at Wei Suo, and asked, "Are you going to go to the movies?" Wei Suo also took a deep look at the monk Chen, and nodded, "I must at least see the place where my parents fell." "You want Xioxin, this is for you." The monk Chen surnamed looked at Wei Suo, his eyes full of unspeakable expressions, took out a thing and handed it to Wei Suo. "This is," Wei Suo slightly stunned. What the monk Chen surnamed handed to him was like an emerald green turtle shell, very simple, with many carvings densely carved on it. "This is the ancient scripture of Mother Earth, you can check it with your consciousness," the monk Chen surname explained. "At first, your parents and I were just a little familiar with the technique of seeing the pulse, but the monk surnamed Liao who was out of trouble with me was everyone of Guanmei prospecting. This is an ancient meridian of Guanmei left by his fall. His magical knowledge of Guanmei is also derived from this ancient scripture. In all the Guanmei classics, whether it is the most superficial or the most mysterious, it is recorded in the classics that the fierce veins of the magic lines are also one of the most dangerous places, and I have personally experienced many strange things. You have to go there, maybe this thing will be useful. And in the future, if you build a cave, you can also use this ancient scripture to choose a place with a deep blessing." After a pause, the monk Chen added another sentence, "I drove outside the Sky Dome for more than a decade, and also avoided some dangerous landforms according to the records in this ancient scripture." The ancient scriptures of observing veins and prospecting, Wei Suo was very curious and took the ancient turtle-shaped scriptures. "I saw that although this thing looks like a turtle shell, it is a kind of extremely hard Yu stone. The runes on it are like mountains and rivers. And under the divine insight, it is easy to explore the way, only to see many runes and catalogues recorded in it. The utility is almost the same as that of ordinary memo." After accepting this ancient scripture, and chatting with the surname Chen and others for a while, and giving a lot of various Danyao, Wei Suo and surname Chen and others quit and headed towards the south. According to a surname of a monk with the surname Chen, Wei Suo no longer had to rush to Zuji city. Next, he was going to the evil vein of the Maoyan, the ruins of Biwang, and then traversing the wild wasteland to the Yunling mainland. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 718. The wilderness outside the Sky Dome, boundless and expansive, is so unimaginable. The area that the monks can detect and reach often is only 1/12 of the entire wilderness outside the Sky Dome. Over the tens of thousands of years, the Jindan monks who even fell there did not know how many. Many shocking monks, divine profound power, annihilated them with the treasures on their bodies. For tens of thousands of years, I don't know how many monks. There are caves built in the wild, plus the remains of ancient monks, in the wild, the mind source, spirit Yao, the entire endless wild wasteland, do not know how many treasures. But these treasures are scattered in this unimaginably vast area, just like a fine sand in the sea, only with great chance. And in this endless wildness, I don't know how many powerful beasts, or even strange things that other monks simply don't know. After crossing the wild, any monk would feel very xiao if he heard it. Wei Suo did not dare to have any lightness. After breaking up with the surname Chen and others, he released the phoenix scale and green eagle again, used the phoenix scale and green eagle to rush off, and then put the 8 golden dans on hand, all of them refined into extinct Jindan. Along the way, Li Yi continued to memorize the texts of the missing moon, and Wei Suo held a piece of memoir in one hand, and the green Yu stone in the shape of a turtle in one hand, while writing down Li Yi's free recitation at any time to confirm unmistakable residual sentence, while studying the ancient scriptures of Mother Earth. Every breath is in shape, that is the veins. Each vein exists in the heavens and the earth and joins with people. The more Wei Suo looked at the records of the Mother Earth, the more fluid and colorful his eyes were, and the more surprised he was in his heart. The content of this ancient scripture is very complicated, and tens of thousands of catalogs are recorded. Each catalog has detailed text annotations. Most of the records are under what kind of landform, what kind of mineral source may be there, what kind of landform will contain spirits, and what kind of landform will be a lot of weird and very dangerous. However, there is a text like a general outline, but it also records the induction of heaven and man, saying that the veins in the body of the practitioner can sense the earth's veins, connect the earth's air, and unite the earth and the earth. Birds, animals, fish, and insects, the sun, the moon, and the stars, are all tangible. The eagle flies, the water rises, the chaos falls, all traces, everything is withering, the changes of yin and yang, the appearance of inside and outside. There are more than 700 characters in the general outline, some of which are superficial and some are unfathomable, and it is impossible to figure out the meaning at one time. This is definitely not a general view of ancient veins. After reading the outline-like text continuously, Wei Suo's perception of the ancient scriptures of the Mother Earth is completely different. If you change the average person, you may not feel like him, but Wei Suo knows the ground truth of Haixianzong, and the ground truth created by Haixianzi, the ancestor of Haixianzong, is a unique penetration. The method of Earth Qi makes the use of Earth elemental spells more powerful than 30%. This was also the reason why the ancestors of Xuanhuan had no rivals among the monks of the same level. Although Wei Suo did not have any powerful Tuyuan spells, but when he condensed his Dan, he also practiced this method. When he applied this method at that time, Wei Suo felt that he and some of the underground the earth veins are connected together. From the underground, the general outline of the ancient scriptures of the Mother Earth is to give Wei Suo a way to tell the monks how to sense and communicate the earth veins. This is not just a common way of observing veins, exploring, observing landforms, and studying the direction of mineral veins, but an avenue. This seems to Wei Suo to be a complete, extremely mysterious and huge, and the grade is absolutely amazing. Because Xuanhuan's ancestor passed to Wei Suo's earth transformation tactics, but only able to sense a limited number of earth veins. And this ancient scripture, this general outline, is to teach people to correspond each vein in the body to the earth veins one by one, and communicate countless earth veins. Is it necessary to comprehend each of these catalogs and scriptures, and to understand clearly the geographical direction of each of the catalogs recorded in it, and to understand the meaning of this general outline completely with the heart? Ultimately comprehend this technique Dharma? This entire ancient scripture, so many catalogs, so many vast records and texts, only converged into a spell. If this is really a spell, what grade is this spell? The more Wei Suo looked at the ancient Mother Earth classics, the more he felt that it was not like a general view of ancient veins, but a complete practice. Old man, do you know anything about the Guanmei scriptures? Have you heard of the ancient scriptures of the Mother Earth? This kind of feeling made Wei Suo call out the old man in green robe and asked. What is recorded in this thing is so complicated. So many amazing catalogs. This is definitely not a general view of the ancient veins. The old man in green robe just looked at the content of the turtle-like green U-stone, and it was incredible. Shouted. How to say? Wei Suo asked immediately. Originally, the old man in the green robe was very curious about the strange things, but after the monk Chen gave this thing to him, the old man in the green robe did not have much interest at all, plus the reaction from the old man in the green robe. It made him think that this ancient mother scripture is extraordinary. The general Guanmei ancient scripture is just the technique of appearance. Where could there be such an amazing record? I have seen several Guanmei scriptures in the past, which are completely different. Even if it involves the mineral veins below, it only indicates what is in the vein. This kind of place may contain the most ore. Where is the entire vein, like the ancient scriptures, from the beginning to the end, and the detailed ends are recorded. This is like digging the whole vein into two parts. Who is so boring, who is so capable? Who can make so many landscapes so clear? Even if it is a sect, the power of the 10th generation of monks, it can't be done at all, this thing, unless it is the inheritance of tens of generations of the ancient times, is either the legacy of the amazing power. This thing is definitely not an ordinary thing. The old man in green robe is more and more shocked. Then have you heard of this ancient mother scripture? Wei Suo asked again. No, the old man in green robe shook his head and explained, in the ancient world of Taoism, there were many sect gates proficient in the exploration of the pulse, but most of these sect gates were in the wild wilderness outside the sky dome. This group of monks is very secretive and unpredictable wherever they go to find and mine various ores for a living. Not many people in the ancient Taoist monastery circle understand it. This thing should be far before my time, or even left over from ancient times. This thing should also be made only for future generations to record. A glance at the green turtle-like stone in the hands of Wei Suo. After that, the old man in green robe said affirmatively. This is made by future generations. Wei Suo's eyes flashed in surprise, because the green Yu stone in his hand obviously gave him a very vicissitudes of feeling. Skin shell, Pikiu, abandoned. Many words in this ancient scripture describing the landform are the sayings in the ancient monastery world. They are no longer used in the ancient monastery world. The old man in green robe looked at Wei Suo. Nodded, this thing should be a translation of ancient scriptures by future generations and passed down. I didn't think that there was such an ancient scripture in the hands of the monk Chen. It seems that this thing is indeed very likely to be practiced in ancient times, or even left over from the ancient great sages. If it is true, the quality and magic of this technique must be far more than the real secret of Haixianzong's earth transformation. After hearing so many explanations from the old man in green robe, Wei Suo couldn't help but feel a little excited. It would be great if I could get a place for the Tibetan scriptures of the level Daizong men like Tianjianzong. Wei Suo immediately decided that he should have a good understanding of the ancient scripture of the Mother Earth along the way, and at the same time his thoughts rose in his heart. Now there are more and more amazing things that are unknown to him, which makes him more and more important for his insight. Although there are old antiques such as the old man in the green robe, his knowledge has far surpassed most monks, but the more unknown treasures on his body, the more important the knowledge is. Dazone men, disciples of Dazone men, were high from the beginning. They were not comparable to ordinary monks. In addition to the cultivation resources that ordinary monks cannot possess, the ability to have the knowledge of ordinary monks was also an important reason. Wei Suo has also gained a lot of knowledge in Dong Huangzong's collection of Buddhist scriptures, knowing a lot of things that he did not know before, but a sect such as Dong Huangzong can't be compared with the class ancestors accumulated over thousands of years. The classics of the Daizongmen collection certainly record a lot of amazing insights. If you can thoroughly see all the records of a large-scale sect gate, Weizhuo may have the use of many unknown things on hand. This is a sea of ghosts crying. There are endless yellow sand veins underneath, probably containing Huangyunjing. This is blood Tuoyi, there may be veins of red blood concentrate. This is a landform of celestial baldness, it's a big ominous place, you should avoid it as much as possible, don't cross the 100 miles around. Wei Suo passed through the wilderness while enlightening the ancient scriptures of the Mother Earth, and walked in the direction of the fierce veins of the magic lines deep in the endless wild. As he progressed, the endless barrenness became more and more barren, there were no more signs of monk activity, no human beings, and the ancient atmosphere became stronger and stronger. Moving forward, it seems that only he and Li Freehand are left between heaven and earth, only he and Li Freehand coexist with heaven and earth. Along the way, he traversed a huge forest of towering ancient trees up to hundreds of feet, passed through a huge field of thousands of miles, passed through thousands of feet, and could not see the unimaginable giant mountain at the end. Along the way he also saw many landforms recorded in the ancient scriptures of the Mother Earth. There is a ghost crying, Tens of thousands of miles, the yellow sand desert without any trees, and the whole mountain range covered with blood-red trees, like a wolf-tailed mountain range, covered with grey mist, bare top, bald strange mountain. Along the way, Weizhuo also saw many ancient, unimaginable buildings, some of them, like completely abandoned mountain gates, and some buildings, but there were no ruins at all, just gathering places for ordinary mortals. In a valley, Weizhuo even saw an ancient conical hall, which was piled with yellow stones. There were no runes and auras at all, and he could not see the origin. Sunrise and sunset, the world is vast, Li Freehand is constantly reciting the scriptures, Weizhuo is almost alone, walking alone in the world, seeing countless unimaginable landscapes and monuments, coupled with constant understanding of the ancient scriptures of Mother Earth. This is also an inexplicable rare experience for Weizhuo. His temperament and breath also seem to have changed a lot. After traversing the wilderness for an unknown number of days, Weizhuo's line of sight appeared at the end of his sight, and a surprisingly vast barren ancient lake appeared. On the edge of this great lake, there is a giant mountain, which looks like an old lady. This great lake that no one has ever visited has been Tianmuzi. The place here is not far from the fierce veins of Mage Weave. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 719. Tianmuz gathers the fierce veins of the magic pattern, only thousands of miles away. Ziyi, this huge water area is very old. It should have been there since the beginning of the Sky Dome, and it is located in such a wild depth. The monk is hard to come by. There must be many water monsters. Do you want to go in and explore first? The old man in green robe asked as he continued his journey towards Tianmuzi. I don't want to go to the door to treat any monsters, Weizhuo replied directly. He traveled both day and night, traversing the wilderness, and along the way, because he was afraid of attracting anything unusually powerful monsters, except for refining the 8 extinct Jindan and the ancient scriptures of the Earth Mother, Weizhuo did not proceed at all. What kind of practice? Even the fragment of the Heavenly Emperor Meteor Star article obtained from Feng Wukang, that is, by Ming Duzhuan, Ran Yuan Tianfa, did not try to practice it. At this moment, I don't know what powerful monsters and beasts there are in this wild ancient area, and now he has already learned more than half of the tens of thousands of catalogues recorded in the ancient scriptures of the Mother Earth, including the scripture annotations. The more he understands, the more he feels that this scripture contains an astonishing avenue, which is different. It's just that there are still Xiao half catalogues that haven't been enlightened one by one, and still can't combine the general outline to explore the true mystery of the entire ancient scripture. In addition, Li Freehand has also listed more than 90 sentences, a total of nearly 2,000 words of scriptures, and 4 complete catalogues. The entire remaining verses that list the missing month seem to be running out. For the time being, almost 2,000 words of verses are ignored. The 4 complete catalogues seem to have been integrated into a whole and put together. There is a mysterious truth flowing in it, which makes people feel that it is about to form a complete catalogue of true Yuan flow. Moreover, Li Yi's recitations in the past few days seem to be a dozen words that have been turned over and over. The broken catalogues that appear are only the same catalogue. This gave Weizhuo the feeling that this ancient method of attacking the top 10 might have only the last dozen sentences and the last catalogue. Whether it is the ancient mother of gods or the missing moon, as long as you can get one of the mysteries, it can bring great benefits to Weizhuo. He naturally does not want to take too many risks, and the closer he is to the place where his parents fell, his mood was also hailed as heavy, and he didn't want to be in a hurry at all. On the way to this evil vein, Weizhuo and the old man in the green robe had already planned. Let's first explore the strength of the Tianjianzong around the evil vein, and if it can be taken directly, it should be taken away directly. If Tianjianzong's strength in it is that Weizhuo is currently unable to cope with it, then first go to explore the ruins of Belong recorded in the Yufu of the Jin family ancestors to see if they can get any great benefits. If the benefit obtained is large enough to enable Wei Suo to cope with the strength of the Tianjianzong in the evil veins of the mage weave, then Wei Suo will kill the evil veins of the mage weave again. If there is no benefit, the Tianjianzong will still not be dealt for those who did. Wei Suo first crossed the wilderness and returned to the Yunling continent. After Xiu Wei and the supernatural powers were advanced, he sought revenge from Tianjianzong. The fierce veins of the magic lines and the huge veins of the spirit stone are enough to affect the whole event of the whole section. Certainly all the high-weighted people of the Tianjian sect know it all. Since Tianjianzong can do his life to fill this fierce vein and explore the mysteries in it, Tianjianzong is already in his heart similar to Donghuangzong. And according to Wei Suo's previous experience, basically all Zongmen disciples are for their own benefit and Zongmen's benefit, regardless of good or bad. At that time, Wei Suyi and Tianjian sect are opposed to the enemy, and the entire Tianjian sect. I am afraid that they will all become his enemies, and there is no one to deal with. The vast majority of monsters still know to hold groups and do not eat the same kind. The vast majority of monks only care about their own interests, regardless of good or bad. In addition, Wei Suo is very clear that the sky dome is about to break, which can indeed be said it is the sorrow of the monastic world. Along the barren ancient river, you can find the fierce veins of the magic lines. That place is where the evil veins of the magic lines are located. The real evil veins of the veins are so amazing. Wei Suo continued to move forward with the phoenix scales and blue eagles, and saw the barren ancient river connected to Tianmuzi by the surname Chen, and he originally thought that he would follow this barren ancient river, and sighted this barren ancient river in order to find the specific location of the evil veins of the magic lines, but as the sky became darker, hundreds of miles away from Tianmuzi, he had already seen that the sky on the far side of the barren ancient river appeared a series of blood-red light curtains and strips of blood gleaming into the sky. It looked terrifying from afar. According to records in the ancient scriptures of Mother Earth, the fierce veins of the devil pattern, one of the 8 fierce veins of the ancient times, and the non-great sages, cannot understand many of the strange and bizarre, extremely dangerous, and entering the marginal zone, are all 9 deaths. Bai Ruguan is like a devil cracking the ground, red light is cultivating underground, while night view is full of blood and blood mist. Casting spells in it, or even shouting loudly, is very likely to lead to the killing of life. When we looked at the records in this ancient scripture, Wei Suo didn't feel much, but right now, Wei Suo's heart is also very shocked. The blood soaring in the fierce veins of the devil's veins can be seen thousands of miles away, and at the top of the pieces of blood light, the blood light curls like smoke, twisting like a fierce soul. Terror. Damn, this light seems to be more than the fire light of the ground, it's too weird. Xiaozi, you have to be Xioxin, don't really be so weird as the ancient scriptures say, you don't know how to die dead. The old man in the green robe that emerged from Wei Suo's chest when he saw the sky's blood, couldn't help but roll his eyes. The sky has been completely darkened, and the blood of the sky seems to have a strange magic, even the glory of the stars and moons in the sky is covered, making people feel trance and unclear about the direction. Wei Suo also moved towards the direction of the evil veins, and the more he frowned. It is also located in the depths of the wilderness, but the place where the magic veins are located has a more ancient atmosphere. And in addition to the more ancient breath, there is a more palpable breath. What kind of breath is it? But it is not clear at all, the Tao is unknown. It seems that there are extremely powerful ancient monsters lurking, and it seems that it is the kind of dragon mound, countless powerful existence after the fall of the breath, but under careful analysis, but there is a difference. Brother Rabbit, where is this, so scary? Continue to move towards the fierce veins of the magic pattern, even Li Freehand can't help saying this, the phoenix scales and eagles also feel a sense of trembling with fear. Mountain lime. The trees are scarce. Wei Summer remembered the relevant records in the ancient scriptures of the Mother Earth, but I saw that the landforms along the way completely matched the records in the ancient scriptures. The rocky soil on the ground along the way gradually became gray and black, and the trees became more and more rare. From the beginning, there were towering trees around the barren river, and it gradually became a land of no-mow. This kind of place, eyesight and consciousness are affected, but it is not afraid to be easily exposed to Tibet. According to the records of the ancient Mother Earth, those areas where the fissures are located are regarded as the real fierce veins, but the ancient scriptures also record that a radius of 500 miles outside the fissures is also the edge of the fierce veins, entering the same danger. Looking at the areas where the blood is shining into the sky, the area occupied by the fissures alone will be more than 1,000 miles away. At this moment, Wei Suo has already traveled to the area where the fissures are located about 3,000 miles, and less than 1,500 miles from the edge, but the weird breath flowing from the fierce veins of the magic line seems to have the effect of hindering the consciousness and eyesight. Looking from above, let alone seeing the ground fissure scenes of the magic veins, even the scenes hundreds of miles away are very hazy. Yep. In this case, Wei Suo was prepared to continue to approach hundreds of miles, and then searched to see if it was possible to catch some monks of the Tianjian sect, but at this time, the red light in the sky among them, suddenly appeared a white treasure light and a fuchsia treasure light. Asterisk. The code is slower today, the time of this chapter is out of time, the number of words is less, and the total number of words in the 3 chapters will be filled back tomorrow. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 720. What does this mean? Ziyi, the Mother Earth's ancient scriptures let me take a look. Seeing the blood of the sky, suddenly there was a white treasure light and a fuchsia treasure light, and the old man in green robe suddenly ate it. Surprised, after saying this to Wei Suo, a green light suddenly turned into the ancient mother scripture of Weimu in Wei Suo's hands. Baoguang and Xuanhuan appear at the same time. At this time, Wei Suo also slightly stagnate, his brow furrowed even more. The old man in the green robe had only seen the ancient scriptures of the Earth Mother before. He didn't take a closer look at every catalogue and annotation, but Wei Suo had already carefully read the records about the evil veins of the magic pattern. All is clearly remembered in the brain. The records in the ancient scriptures of Mother Earth are very detailed. The white treasure light is like a cloud, like a brocade, like a cloud practicing in the sky. This is a large number of spirit stones appearing in the world, and the spirit light forms the dang. In other words, the spirit stone veins in the evil veins are really amazing, and now there are a huge number of spirit stones mined. However, it is also recorded in the ancient scriptures of the Mother Earth that, in addition to the white treasure light and the red light from the earth fire pen, all the other strange lights in the magic veins are fierce lights, which represent unpredictable, the big danger. All monks see the fierce light, they must stay away as soon as possible, otherwise they will be killed. Damn, it's a taboo fierce light. It's bad luck to see the fierce light at the first moment. Did the monk of Tianjianzong excavate the spirit stone? Did he dig out something that should not be dug? Soon it shouted, and it is obvious that related records have been seen from the ancient scriptures of Mother Earth. Brother Rabbit, let's leave here quickly, this place is terrible. Li Ziyi's injury has been almost completely recovered. In addition to his face, he has at least decades of life, but he thinks that he himself after the rabbit, but also became very courageous. Now Wei Suo paused, he could not help but said in fear. It doesn't matter, we are still far away. There are a lot of bad guys in there. If something happens, they are the first to block it. Wei Suo's eyes flashed, comfortingly freehand. Since he has come here at this moment, he will not easily retreat for this evil light. Buzz. Suddenly, there seemed to be a dull roar in the center of the fierce veins of the magic lines. The ground beneath the location of Wei Suo and others seemed to shake. At the same time, the soaring blood above the fierce veins of the magic lines, and suddenly the red light dazzled, forming a piece of blood-red Chao 11, quickly spreading out along the sky and swept out. The blood-red Chao 11 has been spreading for more than 1,000 miles, and stopped until hundreds of miles in front of them. The white treasure light and the fuchsia fierce light have all disappeared. The blood-red Chao 11 seems to have many gray and black xiao shadows flying, as if it were some kind of creature. What a weird thing is this? The old man in the green robe changed his face and shouted, and looked at the ancient scriptures of the Mother Earth desperately, but the ancient scriptures of the Mother Earth were only indifferent, and the blood was like BSP, I didn't see the big breasts. Actually, as soon as I came to this place, I saw the big fierce, the old man in green robe suddenly shouted angrily. Wei Suo's brow jumped. Before that, he had been staring at the sky above the magic veins. At the same time when this dull roar came out, he felt as if there was a large amount of energy in general. First, the sky above the entire veins of the evil spirits make it dark, and then it seems to disperse powerful power. Remember that blood light formed red BSP, Chao 11 formed by blood light retreated quickly, and one of them actually came out and fell down. What is this? One arm, or fresh. One arm flew so far away. What the is that? The old man in green robe saw the thing, and almost shuddered to death. The thing that was blasted out of the red blood light turned out to be a monk's broken arm, and the fresh holes were dripping, obviously it was just broken soon. This place feels terrible and strange, it is grey and black everywhere, and it is full of unspeakable suffocation, and there is almost no grass in the ground. At this time, I will see the next truncated arm out of thin air. The old man in green robe is naturally scared. Not anymore. Xiaozi, what are you doing? But the old man in the green robe hadn't finished his scream, and what scared him half to death was that Wei Suo actually made the phoenix and blue eagles at the moment, not retreating and retreating, slamming toward the right front. Puff. At the same time, Wei Suimen stretched out his hand, and the black Xuanxia Yinkai rushed out of his hand, instantly igniting somehow. Damn it, you're all cursed. The old man in green robe couldn't help jumping, because he didn't see a bunch of things in it until Xianxia Yinqi came back. It's a creature, a monk. In Xianxia Yinqi, there was a reddish figure. The old man in green robe was almost scared and numb, but until he rolled it, the old man in green robe saw clearly and was rolled over by Wei Suo. It was a monk. The monk looked more than 40 years old, with a loyal face. He was originally wearing a hemp cassock, but now he was almost stained with blood to red without any sound. This guy is alive. The old man in green robe settled his mind and held a word. Because he saw that Wei Suo didn't have any stay at all, he took out the blood spar, made a drop of Yao liquid, melted it with real Yuan, and wrapped it around the monk who had been wrapped up by him. Is there a fierce fighting method in the fierce veins of the magic lines? This monk and the talented monk's residual limbs were thrown out by the power of the excited Dang? With the energy of the excited Dang flew 1,000 or 2,000 miles, this fighting method the power is too huge. The old man in green robe restored his ability to think after he settled down, but when he thought of this, the old man in green robe couldn't help but BSP, ah. The middle-aged monk who was caught in front of Wei Suo suddenly shook his body and made a sound that seemed to have been a nightmare. Wei Suo stretched out his hand a little, but a danyao directly bounced into his mouth. As soon as Zhen Yuan sent it, he grunted and swallowed it. Where am I? Am I dead? The middle-aged monk in Mai was stiff again. After a while, he said in horror, a pair that had never recovered. He also had blood on his head, forehead, and corners of his eyes. Some of the blood came from some small wounds on his head, and some seemed to be the blood of others. You are not dead, we are monks who happened to pass by. Seeing that you were thrown out of the fierce veins of the magic pattern and saved you, are you a monk of the Tianjianzong? Wei Suo looked at him quietly. Said the monk who didn't seem to have his own soul. The monk looked miserable on the outside, but they were all wounds that were hit by fine things, but there was not much damage in the body, but there was too much blood loss, otherwise Wei Zhuo could save even if he did not use blood spar he. I'm not dead, I was rescued by you, I'm not in the fierce veins of the magic lines anymore." The monk turned his head and glanced at the sky behind him, before he completely recovered. His eyes were full of horror and unbelievable expressions, some words were incoherent. "I am not a monk of Tianjianzong, how come you are here? You are not a monk of Tianjianzong? How could you be thrown out of such an amazing distance from the inside? What happened in the fierce vein of the magic pattern?" Wei Suo did not answer the name of the monk Mai, but directly asked rhetorically. This monk only had Zhou Tianwu's cultivation practice, and he did not threaten him in any way. At the moment, he looked around, and it seemed that the location of the evil veins had completely restored to calm, but in the surrounding atmosphere, there was a hint of aura. Morphic fierce veins, you know the magic veins and fierce veins, you should also understand the method of observing the veins. The name is Menyu. It was originally a pulse explorer of the Mingjia firm of Jiawan City in the central part of Tianqian mainland, and was later the elders of Tianjianzong secretly came here to help them explore the veins and mine. Are you also a pulse explorer? Is it right here to explore? I have Tianjianzong's forbidden sky sword shadow pattern, maybe Tianji on the monk of zone will come soon. You should leave quickly. If you are met by the monk of Tianjianzong, you will certainly not let you go. This is a loyal face with a square face and wide lips. The middle-aged monk of Meg was still in shock, but after a slight recovery, he did not answer Wei Suo's words first, but said very anxiously repeatedly. It's okay. Hearing the middle-aged monk said this, Wei Suo didn't ask what was happening in it. He let go of his consciousness and pressed toward the monk. The maiden Mai's body suddenly shook, and then a shocked look appeared on his face. In this case, this monk also reacted. Wei Suo was an amazing Jindan monk. I guarantee that you should leave without problems. Don't be anxious. Tell me first, how many monks are there in the Heavenly Sword sect? How many Jindan monks are there? There are 5 monks of Jindan, and even the monks of God Profound Realm sitting here? Like you, how many monks do not belong to Tianjianzong? Wei Suo asked quietly. There are at least 1,000 monks here in Tianjianzong. We often see that there are 3 Jindan monks, wrong, plus the one just now, there are 4. Specifically, I don't know if there are any monks with more than 5 weights of Jindan sitting here, but the practice of the monk Jindan is just amazing, and it is not comparable to the average Jindan monk. The monk named Menyu immediately said, there are at least 1,500 monks who do not belong to the Tianjian sect. What did that name just mean? Was it the monk who just cast the spell? What happened in the end? Wei Suo asked, blinking. In the spirit stone vein in the ground fissure on the east side, it seems that something horrible was dug along with the spirit stone. It is said that a team of 60 or 70 celestial monks who went to besieged were all killed. We happened to be in an earth fissure next to the vein. We heard an unusual sound of fighting, and we all rushed out. After we came out, we just heard that there was something terrible in the earth fissure, and then we haven't yet. When I had time to run away, I saw a purple light in the fissure, and then a black monk fell from the sky, with a blue wheel-shaped magic weapon in his hand, and pressed down towards the purple light. The breath of the black monk was breathtaking and divine. The blue runner in his hand seemed to devour the world, and then I only felt that there was powerful power everywhere. What happened afterwards, I don't know. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 721. Chapter 721 is not strong shapeshift great art. Do you recognize this kind of text? Wei Suo's heart suddenly violently jumped, but the face still remained surging sound color. This text was seen in a sect book called Eastern Desolate Section. No way, little girl almost screamed, and lust was very moving. How can you have this kind of text in your human race sect? So, this is the text of your spirit race? It seems that you understand the meaning of this text. Wei Suo great treasure Ji on business saw some clues, tempted Xing's question. You are going to say exactly where you saw this text in the secret place. Little girl didn't answer Wei Suo's question at all, and it seemed to be coming soon to Wei Suo by. Don't worry, if I am telling lies, let me be killed by heavenly tribulation. Wei Suo took a look at little girl indifferently. Well, I said in more detail. This text is what I saw in a supreme book of Eastern Desolate Sect, and the founder of Eastern Desolate Sect is said to be in the wild secret place. Get an inexplicable great treasure can pass shapeshift great art. I have seen the portrait of the inexplicable great treasure in the scriptures depository of Eastern Desolate Section. It seems that it should not be our ordinary cultivator. Is it your spirit race? You really didn't lie to me, little girl slammed, but the naked body was a little trembling, the golden light in her eyes, or the absence of shapeshift great art. Eastern Desolate Sect divine ability is amazing. Void walking footwork and Tathagata divine glow are also recorded in some legends about him. If you ask and inquire, I can't deceive you if I want to lie, Wei Suo said as he watched little girl's reaction. You've seen the portrait of the great treasure that can be transmitted by shapeshift great art. What does he look like? Little girl lust is still very versatile, won you out of the pointed tiger teeth, Bai asked. Wei Suo didn't have surging sound, his hands were moving, and true yuan flowed out of his hands, directly condensing the characterization seen at the Eastern Desolate Sect scriptures depository. I saw a cultivator, and the top figure, the tall great treasure, the naked body and the ordinary cultivator are the same, but the height of the two cultivators, the body has a pair of cyan wings, on the body 1U skin, there are strips of flaming stripes like a tattoo. Which, as soon as I saw Wei Suo's characterization, little girl's lust thread moved even more, and the golden light flashed like a sigh of anger. This Eastern Desolate Sect is the founder of the mountain. In what time did you encounter great treasure to pass shapeshift great art? It seems to be more than 1,000 years ago, Wei Suo replied. 1,000 years ago, little girl couldn't help but scream, and then the unstoppable flow on her face gave a pleasant look, and she couldn't believe it. So, this inexplicable great treasure of shapeshift great art can really be the person of your spirit race? Is it your friend? You spirit shift great art and shapeshift great art, and our cultivator can also control. Wei Suo looked at the color and saw that little girl's surprises and G movements were obviously not thought of, and there was spirit race. It seems that the life essence of their spirit race should be very long. It existed more than 1,000 years ago, which means that it may still be alive at this moment. Where is Eastern Desolate Sect? Little girl still didn't answer Wei Suo's question and asked. Don't forget the lust we talked about before. You ask me questions now, I don't refuse, but you have to answer my questions. Wei Suo looked at little girl. Little girl's temper suddenly seemed extremely violent, and the fierce light was won you, but then she controlled her lust and calmed down a bit. Yes, this is my spirit race, it is one I know, friend. Our spirit races shapeshift great art, the great treasure most of the shapeshift great art and the shapeshift great art, the cultivator can't be used by cultivation, but there are two spirit races meridians and the cultivated meridian and cultivator's meridians and true yuan. Similarly, the cultivator is available, and he is one of them. It seems that the battle was very fierce more than 60,000 years ago. There is basically no spirit race and heaven-shaking great treasure to survive, otherwise she will not hear that there may be a spirit race surviving. Wei Suo flashed this thought in his heart, out of surging sound. You want to find out the whereabouts of your friend from Eastern Desolate Section? It is impossible. Because the Eastern Desolate Sect ancestors had fallen to the point of knowing it thousands of years ago, the Eastern Desolate Sect cultivator did not understand the meaning of the text at all, and lost the inheritance. In the millennium, they did not even hear about their founder. Fall, not to mention your friend. I don't know where to drop. It is impossible to hear the drop from the Eastern Desolate Sect. Little girl stayed for a while and seemed to be in a stunned situation, but immediately she thought of something, and the eyes were fiercely flashing. You have the giant great treasure broken arm and the interception of ancient fragrance. I have seen such a text. How could it be so clever, so that you just hit so many things? Well, I am also the great treasure cultivator of the golden core fourth layer. It is also a good character in heavenly profound continent. I have such a grade, the things that are encountered will always be more, maybe those divine mystic great treasure can be more or less about your tens of thousands of years ago. And if it wasn't for the heavens dome, I wouldn't even go to the Eastern Desolate sect, nor would I go to the secret place, and I wouldn't have access to so many things at all. Wei Suo said this, but his heart was suddenly and unconsciously a little shocked. Because he suddenly thought, not only himself, heaven's dome cracked, the whole cultivation world will usher in a new era, not only great treasure volume monster beast, cultivator living environment is bad, but his cultivation material is also more. Do not know how many, may have many powerful cultivator emerges, and with some inexplicable monster beast's birth, heaven's dome after cracking, cultivator footprints will certainly tread farther, the hidden secret place in many of the wilderness. Wilderness, will also be a little cultivator contact. Some imaginable for tens of thousands of years, the world that is completely unknown, will also be launched in front of today's cultivator. There may be a lot of cultivators, there are more things about us, just I don't know what shapeshift great art knows, maybe there are other spirit races, but I don't know where they are in the secret place, maybe there is only one of me left. After hearing the words of Wei Suo's, little girl calmed down and seemed to be very lonely. There was a feeling of not having any relatives and crying. For more than 60,000 years, for her creatures more than 60,000 years ago, not only all the people who know it are gone, but it is possible that the world she knows has been completely melted in the years. Among the long rivers, only a trace of remnants can be seen occasionally. Why did he pass the tribute to the pioneer of Eastern Desolate sect? Definitely useful, maybe he was in the Eastern Desolate sect book, leaving some clues, in case there are other spirit races surviving, you can find useful information through the Eastern Desolate sect line. Because if you have spirit race and heard that Eastern Desolate sect has your shape race great art in spirit race, you will want to explore it. You are not the first reaction, but also to Eastern Desolate section. The legendary void walking footwork and Tathagata divine glow are extremely useful for Wei Suo. Wei Suo is very much desired, and the Eastern Desolate sect is the highest in the book, which may be the shapeshift great art. The key is to let little girl translate the text. So Wei Suo immediately racked his brains, looking for reasons, and wanted to talk about little girl to translate the text of this classic. Otherwise, according to little girl's relationship with him, I am sure that I will not do anything that would benefit him. It's a good thing, so leave a clue, even if Desolate race is alive, at most, you will only find Eastern Desolate sect and will not find him directly. Little girl is instantly aware, and the great treasure in the eyes is golden. Eastern Desolate sect, how many books do you remember? I have all written down. Wei Suo does not move the surging sound color, but there is a sense of excitement in the heart. You condense it and show it to me, little girl said right away. No, unless I condense a sentence, you tell me something. Wei Suo immediately shook his head. Otherwise, if you don't tell me what to say, then I am not losing. You want me to translate this book for you, and I want to see if there is a powerful shapeshift great art. Little girl is not an idiot, sneer. This is a mutually beneficial thing. Without me, you don't even know about Eastern Desolate section. It is impossible to know this book. I tell you that the Eastern Desolate sect has been ruined in Beast Tide, and no one knows this book except me. Wei Suo swayed the true color of the business. There is no news in the case that I have to know. It is purely pure shapeshift great art. It is recorded by shapeshift great art. Then I am not cheaper for you. Little girl started bargaining. No, you will at least give me the broken black tower. In the unlikely event that there is no shapeshift great art I want, do you give me black copper directly? The two sides bargained and finally reached an agreement. Little girl helps Wei Suo to translate the classics sentence by sentence. If the useful technique is shapeshift great art, Wei Suo gives half of essence metal of monster subduing tower to little girl, and if there is no useful shapeshift great art, then little girl also split the black copper to Wei Suo. Sun and moon are sighted, divine fire natural, naked body is a meta. Wei Suo now has a top rank essence metal with a great treasure. Even if the essence metal of the monster subduing tower is less than half, refining the flying sword can make the flying sword slightly smaller and will not lower the rank. Kind of business, for Wei Suo is still very great treasure good secret place. Next, Wei Suo and little girl continue to move forward toward ruins, while Wei Suo continues to condense a classical statement from Eastern Desolate section and little girl is a translation of a sentence. In order to break the virtual Eastern Desolate sect's classical scripture is very mysterious. When shapeshift great art was used, even the Yuan was woven with true Yuan to form a great treasure. Just after the opening, Wei Suo's eyes almost appeared like little girl's eyes. Jingguang. Eastern Tathagata, the eastern ancestors of the Eastern Tathagata, was the Tiantian northern part of the generation of Tianxiao, known as the God King of the North. Void-walking footwork and Tathagata divine glow, is not a strong shapeshift great art, and listen to this little girl translation, Eastern Desolate sect the supreme book, recorded in the beginning of scripture, is void-walking footwork. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 722. Chapter 722 Great Desolation Dao asking Scripture. According to the record, God King of Heaven, the void-walking footwork of Eastern Tathagata, can cross the void, 10 miles away. If you can get this kind of strong shapeshift great art, Wei Suo's strength will soon rise to a higher level. Seeing this unsound strong shapeshift great art, Wei Suo is naturally very excited, and the great treasure is golden. There is no grade. Just a copy of shapeshift great art is straight. The ancient great treasure can have some shapeshift great art, through the void, in a flash, even 100 miles, thousands of miles, compared with those of the shapeshift great art. What is it? The little girl named Ling Longtian saw Wei Suo as a defiant look. The moon in the sky is no better, not as good as the buns that are in hand. Wei Suo glanced at little girl. Don't be too tall, don't be greedy. Do you still want people not to be greedy? I don't think I have met someone who is more greedy than you. Little girl snorted. Steel teeth younger sister, do you have any ghosts? How do I feel that this void-walking footwork is wrong? A moment later, void-walking footwork scripture all the translations completed, Eastern Desolate sect of the highest book still left about half of the translation, along with void-walking footwork scripture the end of the last sentence, Wei Suo feel out of this scripture has been complete, but at the same time feel a bit wrong, because Wei Suo in the heart repeatedly yin su this scripture, feel very abstruse, for a while it is difficult to understand some of the meaning of the words. Don't call me steel teeth younger sister, little girl suddenly angered and shouted, that is your own arrogance, lack of comprehension. I am a good translation for you, if one of them is false, let me be killed by heavenly tribulation. What a hell, is this surgery shapeshift great art so difficult to comprehend? Wei Suo observes little girl's god lust, unlike the fake, secretly after a surging sound, no nonsense, continue to condense the remaining words with true Yuan. Great Desolation Dao asking Scripture, young fellow, this scripture, I don't think there is any secret place for you. How much is left in the scripture of Eastern Desolate sect books? It's better to condense the rest of the words with true Yuan. Let me see if there is anything. Seeing the text that Wei Suo condensed next, little girl said immediately. Great Desolation Dao asking Scripture, what is it? Wei Suo asked little girl. This is a good work of shapeshift great art, and you have a lot of time with this now. Do you want to recultivation a golden core? After delaying to see what I was looking forward to, little girl's mood was obviously very impetuous, and it was very unkind to speak. That's not a bad idea. Anyway, not in a hurry, it is still a sentence. Wei Suo is not anxious, and can be alongside his current water emperor son swallowing secrets. It is also the heaven-level top-rank shapeshift great art. If there is an amazing secret place, he can't himself, at least he can give Han Weiwei, their cultivation. Heaven and earth latitude, return of all things. Little girl was going to be crazy, but in the end she resisted and translated a sentence. Good mysterious ancient scripture. Just a dozen words, Wei Suo immediately felt that the mysterious and complicated degree of this great desolation Dao asking scripture seems to be still above the lightning waning moon. According to the meaning of this scripture, it seems that this is the shapeshift great art in culture. In itself, it is also in the reorganization of the naked body of origin Qi and the order of the origin Qi, equivalent to reweave the shapeshift great art around the world. Million years of life essence. Cultivation. This is the shapeshift great art. Can you get a life essence of 10,000 years? And then the sentence in the scripture citation, Xiao Do Wanzai, no beginning and no end sentence, let Wei Suo and green-robed old man cannot help but exclaim the surging sound. Reassured, everything must be lost. Little girls near, great desolation Dao asking scripture, also known as endless great desolation scripture, as long as culture to divine mystic, you can have a lifetime of life essence, but this work shapeshift great art is to let the fleshly body maintain its current state, slowly aging more than 10 times. Origin Qi of sharpshift great art itself can make the other party aging, with void walking footwork, deceive the other side, can make the other years pass, red-faced white bone. But the cultivation of the shapeshift great art cultivator, even if the cultivation base is higher, the true Yuan and the spiritual Qi in the naked body are no shapeshift great art has a moisturizing effect on the fleshly body, and no shapeshift great art makes the fleshly body improve. So culture's shapeshift great arts cultivator, fleshly body will stagnate in the state of culture's shapeshift great art. Your fleshly body is good, but you can really try the culture shift great art, and the great treasure will not reunite the golden core. After saying a few words, little girl was addicted and ridiculed for a surging sound. It's actually such a work shapeshift great art, Wei Suo and green-robed old man are almost inhaled at the same time. On the green seeker silver staff on Wei Suo, there was a shapeshift great art bead that could dissipate the atomic life essence. The origin Qi, which is the life essence of the other, is amazing. Wei Suo and green-robed old man are extremely clear. This great desolation Dao asking scripture can be used to build such an origin Qi force, with the void walking footwork, to bully each other's side, this origin Qi, no shapeshift great art block. And this kind of work, shapeshift great art, can give the cultivator an amazing life essence, because culture's general work, shapeshift great art, has been repaired to divine mystic realm, and it's not nearly 1,000 years of life essence. But this work, shapeshift great art, does have obvious weaknesses. The rest of the shapeshift great art, the cultivation base is high, and the strength and vitality of the fleshly body will become more and more tyrannical. Divine mystic great treasure can fleshly body even without any quenching naked body shapeshift great art of the cooperation, years of suffering from divine mystic Qi infiltration, fleshly body is also very tough, strong vitality great treasure, but this shapeshift great art will let cultivator fleshly body has been maintained cultivation when the state, even if the cultivation base amazing, fleshly body is also very weak, when the time to close, it is also easy to be killed by people suddenly. Spirit race's fleshly body is probably a natural great treasure, so this is not a weakness. Wei Suo also thought that this kind of work, shapeshift great art, might only have such a unique limitation for the cultivator, because the fleshly body of spirit race itself is extremely tyrannical. For the cultivator, this is obviously a strong and weak, naturally focused on attacking shapeshift great art. To Wei Suo's fleshly body, it can cultivation this shapeshift great art, but Wei Suo's heavenly dragon star body tempering technique, can further refine fleshly body, can fleshly body cultivation to a more alarming point, can also have amazing life essence, plus Weisuo itself water emperor sun swallowing secrets, itself is also extremely amazing supreme work shapeshift great art, let Weisuo to repair this work shapeshift great art, certainly is not the row. If there is a strong defense against the shapeshift great art great treasure, the general cultivator, culture, etc. shapeshift great art is not bad. Wider Weisuo looks dignified and continues to condense a sentence of scripture. This work, shapeshift great art, is also clearly supreme strong shapeshift great art, which is a first-class pass, and all sects must be robbed. Don't blame me for not reminding you that the power of true Yuan and origin chi of shapeshift great art is amazing, but the spiritual chi required for culture is many times more than the ordinary work of shapeshift great art. Moreover, desolate race knows the skill, shapeshift great art, so you don't want to circulate it, otherwise if desolate race survives, trace it to you, to your cultivation base, only one dead end. Little girl said this to Weisuo very rudely, and then continued to translate scripture. How are these spirit race ancient scriptures so difficult to understand? Weisuo can hear that each of these scriptures contains a very great treasure, which corresponds to some naked body and astral origin chi. Little girl can't be made up, but the meaning of this scripture, it is difficult to comprehend at one time, and there is no shapeshift great art to understand the meaning. Without Tathagata divine glow, with the reduction of the remaining text, Weisuo can be sure that there is no such thing as the strong Shappagata divine glow shapeshift great art in this book of Eastern Desolate Sect. The last sentence is left with the final sentence of this great desolation Deo asking scripture, the entire Eastern Desolate Sect book is left with the last sentence, more than 10 words. Weisuo's eyes flashed, and the remaining 10 words were first condensed out of the first 5 words. Cloud Spirit, originally, little girl was extremely impatient and more impatient, but suddenly saw the words Weisuo's, in the eyes of little girl, it was an incredible golden light, the golden gaze in her eyes, simply gathered into 2 golden beams of light, it is very embarrassing. She just uttered 2 words unconsciously and immediately took it. Cloud Spirit. There are 3 more words, what is it? Weisuo knows that he is not the same, he asked immediately. This is R, it has nothing to do with you, you have no right to know, little girl immediately looked at Weisuo, reveals a pointed tiger's teeth. There are still words left, hurry up and give me a smack. No, how do I know if this is yours, this scripture is what I get, and of course I have to know everything about it. If this content really doesn't have anything to do with me, I promise that I will not see anything, and I can swear that it will not be mentioned to anyone. Weisuo does not move the surging sound. You tell me all the words, I will condense the remaining words. You want to die? Quickly condense the remaining words. If you can kill me, you have already killed it, don't say this nonsense, one and costs the time of great treasure. You. Well, I tell you, these 5 words are Cloud Spirit great treasure, little girl insisted for a moment, but Weisuo never let go, and she finally got a compromise with her eyes. Cloud Spirit great treasure, what does it mean? Weisuo asked immediately. Great treasure is the name of a great treasure the rest don't see the following. How do I know what it means? Little girl has a golden light like a sword, and she wants to tear Weisuo into pieces. Weisuo, regardless of how little girl's eyes spurred, it's very careful, 1 word at a time, wait until little girl utters a word and then condenses the next word. No, and world Longtown, great treasure, shortage. Cloud Spirit great treasure is not a long-lasting town great treasure? What does that mean? After the rest of the words were translated, Weisuo and green-robed old man were completely embarrassed and couldn't understand what it meant. I don't know exactly what this sentence means. If you go to Cloud Spirit continent, you can help me to listen to some news, or you can understand the meaning of the sentence. Little girl's face was impatient, and the golden light in her eyes was extinguished. At this time, Weisuo and this little girl are still on the go, and Li Ziyi, who is also recited scripture, has reached the front of the giant desolate mountain, which looks like Yin Chi in the night. It has already reached the periphery of ruins in Baibei. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 723. Chapter 723 Shock Shift Great Art Powerful Energy. Sure enough. In the deep night, Wei Suo looked at the scene in front of him, although the surface did not move the surging sound, but the heart was secretly shocked. At this moment he and Li Ziyi, little girl, are already over the foothills of the ancient desolate mountain facing Demon Mark Ominous Vein. Because on the way to Demon Mark Ominous Vein, he has carefully read all the records of the ruins of the Northern Family in Jin Family Ancestral Hall Jade Talisman, knowing that this ancient desolate mountain is not dangerous, so when you are on the way he just continually tested the little girl named Ling Longtian in words. But no matter which side of the shapeshift great art he used, Ling Longtian is still the same sentence. She is not very clear about the meaning of the last sentence, need to go to Cloud Spirit Continent to do some exploration to be clear. Wei Suo can't help but to give up the question and focus on the current ruins. According to the Jin Family Ancestral Hall Jade Talisman, the middle of the ancient giants of the Giant Desolate is a hilly area with a radius of 100 miles, and ruins is located in the north. In this area, the secret place is a variety of ancient tomb remnants, all of which are broken tombstones and fragments of debris, and the night is full of phosphorus. According to Ling Longtian said, Wei Suo to the northern fast rather of the time to grasp more clearly, this north fast rather was destroyed more than 60,000 years ago, and this one of the cemetery, more remote, perhaps to go back to 100,000 of years ago, 100,000 of years later, this landform has not known after several changes. Unexpectedly there are so many tombstone, remnant coffin, and other things left behind. This can only explain the secret place in ancient times. Do not know how many graves, it is likely to be tombs heavily stacked, tomb with tomb. At the moment, Wei Suo looks at it. It is still within a radius of 100 miles. There are still a few phosphorus stars in the square. On the low hills and on the ground, there are many broken tombstones, wrecks and afterimages on the ground. There are even many amazing looks. The iron that has been decaying. Many of the dead bones have been completely weathered and rotted, but they remain on the ground and on the coffins, and they are still faintly visible. Baibei has really been completely destroyed. Ling Longtian's heart lust is definitely more shocking than Wei Suo. At first glance, the look on her face looks like a disgusting Li Ziyi. It has been ruined for tens of thousands of years. Are you not nonsense? Wei Suo couldn't help but want to say such a sentence, but think about it, no export. You know that this secret place is Beiyuan ruins. I definitely know something about this secret place. Are some of the leftovers of Baibei sinking into the ground? Where is the entrance? After a while, Ling Longtian returned to normal and asked this. You said that you are very familiar with this. Take me to explore great treasure. You have to ask me. Upon hearing her, Wei Suo couldn't help but scream and almost swear. The terrain has changed radically at the beginning of the Bamang Mountain Gate. It was in one of the circular great treasure hills, and the radius was hundreds of miles. Ling Longtian looked at Wei Suo, with 1U pointed tiger teeth. There are many unique restrictions in Baibei. Even if all the squares are cracked in hundreds of miles, it is impossible to destroy them all. Many buildings must still have a residual. If you don't want to spend more time, just tell me the location of the left body of the remnant building. I don't know much. Wei Suo also not nonsense, but in the lust of Ling Longtian still can't do, or retain Jian business nature, toward the region of low hills near the point. I only know that secret place hills rear there is an abyss, underside has a Yin River, along the Yin River toward the inner 4,000 feet, you can see up the stairs, which is said to have many buildings. There are quite a few cultivators to explore, but basically can't go deeper, and most of the great treasures fall. Let's go. Ling Longtian didn't stop, turned into a purple light, and the Weiwo and Lizhi followed Wei Liu's low hills with some grass. At the back of the low hills, there was an abyss. Wei Suo divine consciousness let go, followed by Ling Longtian, landed dozens of feet, and heard the rumbling water surging sound. The bottom of the abyss is very narrow, the lion's teeth are wrong, and it is very chilly. There is a secret place, but there is a yin and river crossing, and there are dissolved dong on both sides. Is the building group on the side that follows the current? Ling Longtian turned around and saw Wei Suo affirmatively nodded and swept in the east side of the dissolved dong. The dissolved dong is dark, but the Wei Suo divine consciousness is released, and the perception is clear within 2,000 feet. Arrived, just a moment later, Wei Suo felt it and his heart slammed. Going forward, the Yin River, which is about a few feet wide, suddenly turns and rushes to the right side, but there is a black step in the first level that is several tens of feet wide, giving the impression of a pier. Ling Longtian in front stopped in front of the black steps and looked up. There are a total of 560 steps in the black steps. Both sides are broken and extend into the water. The rear of the black steps gives a feeling of a valley, but at the end of the black steps, there is a circle of gray light curtains flowing inside. It seems that there are countless twisted figures, crawling in them, and it looks very terrifying. According to Ancestral Hall Jade Talisman, this gray light curtain has no powerful energy, just the general role of the shapeshift great art, just go through it. At the back of the black steps is the inner valley of a giant great treasure, with several broken hills gathering together, many remnants of the complex, many of which are sinister restrictions. Jinfu is also only capable of exploring several of the temple remnants. The deepest is only about 200 feet behind the black step. Steel Teeth younger sister, oh no, Ling Longtian, what is this damned thing? What is weird? But Wei Suo didn't worry about the little girl on the head with a long horn. When she saw this gray light curtain, she was surprised and asked. This is the restrictions by Ghost Night Walk on the periphery of Baibei. It just allows the Baibei cultivator to perceive whether there is a cultivator by near or not. There is no powerful energy. Just put it in. Ling Longtian did not stop at all, passing directly through the gray light curtain. Mother Hummer, can't you slow down? Wei Suo couldn't help but slammed a surging sound and followed it up. Just passing through this thin, water-like light curtain, his heart slammed. Brother Rabbit, it seems very unusual here. Even Lizhi, who has always been stupid, has great treasure eyes and said this to Wei Suo. Consistent with the records in Ancestral Hall Jade Talisman, there is a giant great treasure in the front, which seems to have several broken hills close together, but this sentence, the feeling of giving people and seeing it with their own eyes, is completely different. The giant treasure in front of the valley, giving the impression that this secret place is a deep secret place, being unimaginably powerful energy, falling down and falling into a deeper abyss, and several breaks the hills seem to have come from above or not secret place, just stuck above the secret place abyss. It is like a bottle mouth, the feeling of being stuck by a few stones, several broken hills, gathered together, but the bottom is suspended. What is striking is that there are also a dozen miles in the radius of these broken hills, and there are violent collisions around the inner valley and above, and traces of the toe. It seems that at the time, the place near the Bamang mountain gate was hit by the naked body of the mountain, and the depths of the ground were all tumbling. The amazing bucket shift great art, from the sky to the underground, caused all the landforms. All changed. Several broken hills are buried deep in the ground, and all the vegetation on the top has been turned into dust. Most of the great treasures of the temple seem to have been completely weathered, but many of the secret places still shine splendid light. Follow me. If one Yuan ran to death, it would matter to me. Ling Longtian's god lust became very cold, and after a moment of deep look at the broken body of the broken mountains, he went to a mountain naked body in front of him. This, Wei Suo, who was originally be careful, was immediately stunned. All the way forward, no matter what kind of brilliance, Ling Longtian is going straight ahead. From time to time, 1 or 2 crystal stones are broken, and several incomprehensible runes are broken. It is a direct violence to break the restrictions, and it will last forever. Destroyed and destroyed, all splendid light burst. In this way, Wei Suo's original scruples of restrictions threatened to disappear. This is the Danfang of Bai Bei. Just a short while, Ling Longtian, with Wei Suo and Li Ziyi, went deep into the unrecorded area of Ancestral Hall Jade Talisman and saw an empty mysterious treasure in the dust. The whole mysterious iron great treasure hall is made of black iron. From the open door, you can see several high-density Dan furnaces, as well as many bottles and cans. There is a green hood over the outside. However, Ling Longtian is just near the green divine light screen, and a whole dong of Sans Hang square appears on the green divine light screen. It seems that it is only the slight vibration of the divine light screen, and the whole great treasure hall inside, including the inside. The inside of the Dan furnace and the bottle and can, all collapsed in front of the eyes of Wei Suo and others, turned into fly ash. How did this happen? Green-robed old man couldn't help but be an unbelievable exclamation. He can see that the Dan furnaces in it are all essence metal materials, even if they are just ordinary essence metal. In this great treasure hall, it is only completely rusted, and it is impossible to turn them into fly ash, let alone this great treasure hall. The material looks absolutely refined, and it should last for tens of thousands of years, and it will not rust at all. This is the power of shapeshift great art at the time of a great treasure. In the vicinity, there have been people fighting in life and death. Destroy everything around you. Ling Longtian looked at the fine dust a few feet thick under his feet, and said the tone coldly. There is no damage to the divine light screen restrictions, but it destroys everything inside. That kind of shapeshift great art powerful energy, isn't the spirit light shield not blocked by shapeshift great art? Looking at the great treasure temple that suddenly collapsed, Wei Suo couldn't help but take a deep breath. It seems that the thick and thin ash around them is all formed by the various things completely turned into fly ash. This Dao technique shapeshift great art, the scope of the shroud seems to reach nearly 1,000 squares, something within 1,000 squares, whether it is essence metal is still stone, all turned into ashes. Divine ability of the level of great treasure can even completely change the rules of the world of a secret place, and through some defenses, what counts Ling Longtian doesn't have any stops. It's a carpet search. Wherever there is a temple remnant, go straight to wherever. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 724. Chapter 724 Great Treasure. Forbidden, change the world of origin chi, create your own field of powerful energy, this is the power of supreme great treasure, only the legendary ancient immortals can do it. More than 60,000 years ago, there was such a level of great treasure that can exist. Green-robed old man said that the surging sound disappeared, and he couldn't speak anymore. His heart was too shocking. Since little girl is a descendant of the deformed great treasure demon, many things have been completely subverted. His cognition, completely without the shapeshift great art imagination. The Eastern Desolate Sect books I have translated for you include Void Walking Footwork and Great Desolation Dao Asking Scripture. You give me half of the Black Tower Essence Metal. Ling Longtian continued on, and completely destroyed the restrictions outside the 2 secret places, and said to Wei Suo. Before her, because Eastern Desolate Sect classics that last word, too shaken, forgot to ask Wei Suo beg East Huang monster subduing half tower, and she an essence metal expected, like against all kinds of restrictions and origin chi power, but also to rely on gray bracelets, and controls gray bracelet also consumes her own many origin chi, to devour essence metal supplement. Now she even broke a lot of road restriction some of the strength of exhaustion, but it is remembered to ask Wei Suo. Beg this east monster subduing tower. This thing I don't have shapeshift great art apart, you own the next half. Wei Suo's eyes flashed and Suo Xin used the monster subduing tower as a test to throw the entire east monster subduing tower to Ling Longtian. If Ling Longtian swallowed the entire monster subduing tower directly, it would mean that she was only coveting essence metal on her body. If she followed the agreement, she said that she had other intentions for herself, and that she was not just for herself. Essence metal on your own. The liar, you are still trustworthy. It seems that it is not as bad as your looks. Ling Longtian caught the monster subduing tower in the east, and it was very unkind to say such a sentence, then kaka directly smashed. Do I look so bad? Wei Suo suddenly became speechless. I said steel teeth younger sister, oh no, Ling Longtian, can you scan origin chi in this mouth? If you spray far, not the shapeshift great art great treasure of the essence metal class, it is easy to be directly nong bad. And looking at little girl, it seems like a rocky gourd, it is very easy to squat down the block of the Nazard body of the monster subduing tower, and Wei Suo can't help but say such a sentence. The tire naked body of the monster subduing tower is extremely tough. It was only a battle with Lin Taixu and so many mystic wind sect old antique great treasures. But now that little girl is picking up, it seems to be effortless, and people can't help but swallow. This is my SI people secret place, you don't have to. Little girl slammed the east monster subduing tower in half and returned the remaining half to Wei Suo, and half of her squatting, just ate two, and the rest also included her shapeshift great art. In the sleeves of the clothes. It seems that I really don't have a picture of me. Wei Suo took over only half of the monster subduing tower, divine consciousness swept through, and the remaining half of the essence metal material of the monster subduing tower remained unchanged. Regardless of whether the steel chi in the mouth of steel teeth younger sister can be ejected from the naked body, at least she still has no black and white mouth, and this makes Wei Suo confirm the previous guess, this steel teeth younger sister is another to him. Pictured. At this moment, Ling Longtian only smashed two, and the rest were collected first. This made him vaguely aware that Ling Longtian also had certain restrictions on the engulfing of essence metal, just as he did when he started the culture water emperor sun swallowing secrets. You can't devour the water attribute monster core with great treasure, otherwise the other adverse origin chi will also cause damage to itself. After swallowing two essence metals from monster subduing tower, Ling Longtian's strength seems to have returned to its original state. It is also a purple great treasure, and it has broken the splendid light from the two secret places. Secret place. There is nothing in the hollow of the temple, and nothing is found. Ling Longtian went on, but all of a sudden, she and Wei Suo were both obviously fierce. There is a strong great treasure. This steel teeth younger sister's divine consciousness is just like me. Wei Suo's eyes swept over the front of Long Longtian and gathered in front. This broken mountain naked body has searched for nearly half. At the moment, he and Ling Longtian are in front of a completely weathered ruin. This ruin seems to be all weathered by yew stone. The dust is white and delicate, and there are many common insects on it. Traces of creeping. At the back of the ruin is a white divine light screen, which seems to have a white temple. Now in this white temple, from time to time, Dang has a heart-rending atmosphere. It seems that an invisible undercurrent is raging in the air. The white divine light screen is more than 500 feet away from Wei Suo etal. The divine light screen seems to have the effect of isolating spiritual chi. Divine consciousness can only be found in dozens of feet. Now Wei Suo and Ling Longtian feel almost at the same time. Similarly, the two people's divine consciousness is almost the same. Ling Longtian quickly approached the clean white divine light screen by passing over the thoroughly weathered ruins, bringing a sleek white smoke. Wei Suo without the slightest hesitation, keep up. This is not destroying Dong Xiantian restrictions, no shapeshift great art destruction, you have to enter with me before arriving at the clean white divine light screen. Ling Longtian didn't need to look at it, stopped directly and said to Wei Suo. Where is this originally? In case I go in, you leave me alone. What if I don't do shapeshift great art? Hearing her saying this, Wei Suo said with some concern. The inside was originally one of the artifact refinement sites in Baibei. Ling Longtian looked at Wei Suo scornfully. You can rest assured that these restrictions are not right, and the people inside can come out at will. If you don't believe it, you can let your brother Rabbit try it. Good. Wei Suo has observed that Ling Longtian should not have a fake, but to be on the safe side, he nodded and asked Li Ziyi and Ling Longtian to try it out. After all, if Ling Longtian has any tricks, Li Ziyi is trapped inside. He can also set up shapeshift great art to save, but if he is trapped inside, the crazy silly Li Ziyi is outside, but can't help anything. Busy, and if Ling Longtian is going to deal with Li Ziyi, it is very easy. Li Ziyi's lightning waning moon doesn't do anything at all. It's really timid. Ling Longtian was extremely disdainful of Wei Suo, first entering with Li Ziyi. When I saw the white spirit light being 3 feet away from her, it was also lost. She and Li Ziyi passed through the light curtain without any surprise, and then Li Ziyi was easily worn out of the spirit light. How are you relieved? Take the heart of a gentleman with the heart of a gentleman. Ling Longtian also wore it out from the inside, sneering at Wei Suo's contempt. It seems that you are also trustworthy, not as bad as you look. Wei Suo said this with his way of treating others. You, Ling Longtian was so angry that he had a sharp tooth, but he still held back fire chi. He glanced at Wei Suo and re-entered with Wei Suo and Li Ziyi. Among the white divine light screens is a white great gold treasure hall. This white great treasure hall looks white and smooth. Wei Suo just entered. At first glance, it feels like a naked body carved with sheep fat. White you, but only 2 steps forward, but it is now white great treasure. There is a kind of bone splendid light in the temple. It seems that the entire temple of up to 10 feet is carved with some kind of bone. Si. Wei Suo and green-robed old man almost fell out of Netsp at the same time. Just as they traveled to the steps in front of the white great treasure hall, there were more than 10 feet away, and the entire white great treasure hall collapsed. It's down. All broken into pieces, and only the pieces of great treasure nails like great treasure nails. This white great treasure temple was already crawling with countless row eyes. Difficult to see the crack, slightly some vibration, it completely disintegrated, completely collapsed, and collapsed down. Wei Suo and green-robed old man just feel, this white great treasure hall has already only half left. The back of the half, unexpectedly has been completely destroyed. The back of the half, is a more than this temple great treasure, several times more than the pit, as if there is a more than this temple great treasure number of times. The meteorite, landed in the rear of this temple, and smashed the back half of the temple. In the deep pit, the yellow light of the Mi Dorji, the strong great treasure that the previous Ling Longtian and Wei Suo almost simultaneously perceived, was scattered from this deep pit. And the closer the distance, the more breathful it feels, is the greater the great treasure. Boom! 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 In fact, there is no surging sound, only the pressure of a giant treasure from the constant shaking dang. Even the air does not vibrate, but to Wei Suo's feeling, it is like a heart of a giant treasure in the violent beating generally. What the hell is it? Wei Suo's face quickly changed slightly. At a distance of 20 feet from this deep pit, the pressure of this giant treasure has already pressed his heart as if it were to burst, making him somewhat breathless. Ling Longtian seems to be under pressure, but she has no pause. She is walking in front of Wei Suo's. Wei Suo can't see her face. The look on her face at the moment is very inexplicably complicated. The golden light flashes in her eyes. It seems that this scent of great treasure is not strange to her. She knows something, so her face at the moment looks though the complex is inexplicable, but there is no horror and fear. Wei Suo resisted this suffocating pang. Great treasure and walked to the front of the pit. What shocked him instantly was that he saw a golden sword on the bottom of the deep pit. This golden long sword is straight at the bottom of the pit. It is about 7 feet long and about 1 foot wide. The style is very ordinary and plain. but the burst of Pangret treasure was spread out from the golden sword. And this golden sword is around the body, filled with a mysterious golden light, which seems to be in the world of origin Chi, and the outside world is completely different. There seems to be countless thunder light inside, jumping in a flash, completely like an independent lightning world. Li Guqi, also fallen. In Ling Longtian's mouth, there is such a surging sound. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 725. Chapter 725 Great Treasure Battle Answer. Li Guqi is who. The golden light pattern scattered on the golden sword has a unique atmosphere, and the atmosphere has not yet formed a unique atmosphere. This breath makes Wei Suo feel no match for shapeshift great art. And this breath does not seem to be just the powerful energy of the golden sword, and the unique powerful energy woven by the shapeshift great art is not condensed. More than 60,000 years ago, the powerful energy of shapeshift great art was created, and it has not been condensed until now. What kind of divine ability was the shapeshift great art? The ground around the golden sword is all black hard lava rock, but it is nothing but a rock that is connected to a naked body and this golden sword. The feeling is that the master of the golden sword is desperately trying to make a strong effort. It is a powerful great treasure blow, but it is lost, falling to the ground, all the rocks in the deep pit on the ground, all not flying out, but directly supreme powerful energy melts and compresses to form a black lava that looks extremely hard. Li Guqi is the king of venerable emperor, and it is also a level of great treasure. I can't think of it later. Ling Longtian's look is still very complicated. Listening to her meaning, when the great treasure was in the battle, the master of the golden sword was not in this secret place, and when the master of the golden sword arrived, she was seriously injured in the landing. I don't know. Final results. Thunder King Venerable Emperor. True Immortal Level Great Treasure Can. This is the shapeshift great art great treasure of true immortal level great treasure. Wei Suo's breath was completely stopped. With this long-horned girl talking about the previous Qiao, he already knew that little girl's arrow was called the true immortal level great treasure called Venerable Emperor. True immortal levels heaven-shaking great treasure can. Now the entire heavenly profound continent is nothing, even in the tensivating world of tens of thousands of years, it does not appear at all. Now it is a true immortal shapeshift great art great treasure. The king of venerable emperor sword, such a divine weapon, can't be perceived. How could this secret place still exist? Ling Longtian's face showed a me look. Listening to her meaning, this golden sword, even for the heaven-shaking great treasure can also be to great treasure. It is probably the real immortal artifact, like the top grade strong at that time, no matter which side, as long as there is one remaining name, such a shapeshift great art great treasure, even if buried deep underground, will be perceived. It is impossible to leave this secret place, spent more than 60,000 years. Is it really a complete loss? At the time, all the heaven-shaking great treasures were all dead. Wei Suo couldn't wait to get the golden sword in the bag right away, but the golden light around the bottom of the golden sword made him dare not approach. Suddenly, Ling Longtian stepped out and swept down the bottom of the pit, apparently to put away the golden sword. You did what? Wei Suo immediately called. Ling Longtian has not yet reached the light of the golden long sword. On the grey bracelet on her hand, there was also a circle of light, and the golden light pattern touched the grey light pattern on her bracelet. It was collapsed and scattered immediately, and a golden light chain collapsed, and at the moment of being scattered, the inner golden sword is also suddenly collapsed and scattered, turning into a dusty dust. Don't move, it has nothing to do with me. Ling Longtian is facing Wei Suo, the sound of surging sound is very cold. The king of venerable emperor sword has been destroyed, but the powerful energy of Li Guqi is entangled. Now Li Guqi's great treasure power dissipates, this shapeshift great art great treasure naturally collapses and scattered. Otherwise I want to destroy this shapeshift great art great treasure, and there is no shapeshift great art at all. Silver flashes, Wei Suo has appeared beside Ling Longtian, reaching for a dust from a golden sword. Mother Hummer, Wei Suo couldn't help but burst into a foul language. The golden dust in his hands is like ordinary gravel, without the slightest spiritual chi, like the powder that was rusted after essence metal was completely decayed. Ling Longtian did not lie. Just by this point, he can also see that the golden sword has indeed been destroyed by the power of no horses, but this golden sword is true immortal divine weapon, is certainly the real immortal armament. In the legend before the appearance of the immortal armament, now appear in the eyes, but is turned into dust and not, this is really let him depressed almost to vomiting blood. Don't look at it, the king of venerable emperor's sword was destroyed by the ancient desolate, and the material could not have any secret place. Ling Longtian glanced at the golden dust and turned his head. What is ancient desolate, what is shapeshift great art? The depressed Wei Suo sprinkled the dust in his hand and followed it up. Desolate races strong shapeshift great art, weaving unique ancient desolate origin chi, violently washed, imitating the passing of countless years. If the shapeshift great art powerful energy can't resist it, it is like experiencing infinite years of infighting. The red face is old, and divine weapon turns into dust. With true immortal, shapeshift great art, and immortal artifact powerful energy can't resist it. Isn't the strength of the other party still far above true immortal? Green-robed old man suddenly couldn't speak. If there is no heaven-shaking great treasure in the deserty race, how can Bai Bei be destroyed? Ling Longtian had no table lust, and took out 2 pieces of the fragment of monster subduing tower and swallowed it. Imitating countless years, such a strong shapeshift great art. If there is such an opponent that can perform this kind of shapeshift great art, I am not going to turn it into a fly ash. This guy's bracelet can compete with the light traces left by true immortal, and maybe a real immortal artifact. Wei Suo's eyes could not help but gather on Ling Longtian's grey bracelet. You don't stare at my bracelet. It's something that belongs to me alone. Even if you get it, there is no shapeshift great art at all. Ling Longtian didn't go back, coming out from the front. Do you have your ass with your eyes open? How do you know that I am looking at your bracelet? A bad person like you, so ignorant, you don't have to look at it, you know what kind of face you are now, and what is bad in your mind. Is your bracelet an immortal artifact? This is a personal, no comment. How old are you before the great treasure battle? How old is the equivalent to cultivator in your spirit race? Wei Suo thinks this Ling Longtian is very strange. Sometimes it looks like a great treasure, but sometimes it is like a xiao child. What does that mean, you ask? Ling Longtian has some strange turn the head, won you out of the white sharp Xiaohu teeth. Nothing, I just want to know if you are in adulthood. If you are not a mature person, whatever you say, I will not care about my child. Said Wei Suo. Why, are you saying that I am childish? I have grown up. Ling Longtian heard the meaning of Wei Suo and immediately screamed with anger. That is the old woman, forget it, I respect the old and love the young, and don't care about you. Wei Suo looks like a great treasure. Flatulence. I am too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Ling Longtian was even more annoyed, but he pressed fire chi again and turned his head in hate. It seems that the age is not great treasure, at most a girl. Wei Suo suddenly saw something. Follow me. Suddenly, the Ling Longtian in front had a surging sound, and the surging sound was full of tremors. It seemed that there was a moment of great treasure, and the lust was very moving, turning into a purple streamer and plunging forward. N. Wei Suo immediately followed, but his eyes flashed amazed. Ling Longtian turned out to be directly under the naked body of the broken mountain. Below the broken body of the broken mountain is a deep underground canyon. It is like a whole piece of land being infinitely bounded by the infinite force. I don't know how many feet. Before Wei Suo looked outside, I could not see the bottom. There is a black piece inside. The sight of golden eyes with golden eyes is better than me. Soon, Wei Suo yelled at the surging sound again, because as Ling Longtian swept down and dropped 100 feet or so, Wei Suo saw a blackened canyon underneath his fingers and a broken piece. Mountain naked body, stuck in it. This broken mountain naked body is more great treasure than the broken mountain naked body, but only near the central area, there is a grey divine light screen, covering the great treasure. The square is nearly 1,000 feet, the mountain is naked, the rest of the body, there is no building at all, even the great treasures of some of the mountains and stones, the surface is all thick dust. In the dark, cannot see the front Ling Longtian table lust, but Ling Longtian straight to the grey divine light screen swept away, the degree seems to her extreme, and her body of violet because body naked the tremor and constantly flashing, it is obvious that the grey divine light screen, the original inside the building or something inside, for her is certainly extremely important. This place is also like this by shape-shift great art powerful energy, the divine ability of these ancient great treasures is really amazing. Green-robed old man, the sound of the surging sound of the Joe air conditioner keeps ringing. Because green-robed old man is a low-level Xia artifact spirit, the level of contact is not high, so when you see good things, it is easy to be surprised, but now he is exposed to something unimaginable. It seems that I have never seen the world. As Ling Longtian approached the scene light of Wei Suo and Li Ziyi, and was blown by the wind from the Ji, this card was stuck on the mountain naked body in the abyss, and countless dust slid down the edge of the mountain naked body. The dust on the surface of the whole mountain naked body seems to be as thick as 10 feet. This mountain naked body, there are also a dozen miles of great treasure Xiao, a dozen rounds, it seems that all things, all destroyed into ashes. And this mountain naked body has been going through more than 60,000 years, and it has fallen here. The dust on it must have fallen off the great treasure half. At that time, it was definitely more than a dozen feet. Therefore, in the past 10 years, things that were dozens of feet deep, all of which were destroyed by heaven-shaking powerful energy, became fly ash. What is it inside? Wei Suo couldn't help but ask a deep breath and asked. From the perspective of Ling Longtian's reaction at the moment and the lust shape of the mountain's naked body, it seems that the peace shift shake has been launched around the grey divine light screen. Among the grey divine light screens, there may even be something that both great treasures can compete for. Go in and tell you. Ling Longtian didn't answer immediately, her surging sound, full of tremors, a thrilling, seemingly inside the feeling of the answer she wanted.